So he's very, like I told you, he's very fast on email. So now I make him send it to me first so I can read it through. Not that you ever write anything bad, but it's like sometimes like your answer's a little bit too formal.
Well, sometimes
or
it's too
firm.
formal, but sometimes I'm missing information.
Yeah.
Like a lot of information. And she's like, well, what about this whole part? And I'm like, oh, well, crap. My fear is if I don't respond fast enough, I lose their respect. I lose the job. I'm dealing with a lot of therapy right now. And a lot of therapy harks back to time management, but it's the how much can I do in a set amount of time? Like literally every time my wife comes home at the end of the night, the first thing I say is there's not enough time in the day. And that is my end all be all biggest stress in the world. And if there was more time, if there was an extra 24 hours in my 8 hours, I would just barely get enough done for me to say, well, there's not really enough time in the day. I need to be able to get this stuff out fast enough to satisfy myself, I think, more than the clients. And that leads to anxiety and missed emails and errors and things like that. So I do see your point about taking the time and, doing it right, but then scheduling it off and not setting expectations.
Because if you reply at 10 p.m. and,
Which I do.
Yes. And then they write back at 10:30, then you reply at 11, and it's like...
And I do.
Yeah. So.
Well, and speaking of expectations, I think another important part of time management is like managing our own expectations for our time. And I think that helps a lot with the anxiety is so understanding like you are a human being. I'm only going to devote so much of my time to this because I want to have a life with my wife and like I want to have friends and like whatever.
Learn to drum.
Yeah, I want to drum, right? So there's, I think, learning how to manage your own expectations for what is reasonable for you and allowing yourself the grace to just exist as a human being is really important. So, for example, in the summer, I have this very weird and very stressful dynamic that kind of creates a little bit of a perfect storm for me. My kids are not in school. And it's the busiest time of the year for me for work.
Right.
And so they go to camp, but camp is shorter than a school day. And there's no bus to camp. And so I spend an hour of my morning in drop-off lines, and I spend an hour of my afternoon in pickup lines because I live in the suburbs. And it's a mess.
An hour?
Yeah. So
that's not unusual.
Yeah. So where you got a line like wrapped around the block of the neighborhood, waiting like of minivans, waiting to like I don't drive a minivan.
They're all minivans.
Yeah.
They're all minivans.
It's not, well, mine's not. I don't drive a minivan.
Yeah.
So, and then I've got the kids home and I've got to get them ready for school. And even on my custody schedule, I still have them every weekday because my ex-husband works a traditional 8 to 5. And so he can't drop them off at camp before he starts work. He can't pick them up from camp at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So that defaults to me, which is fine. And why I have the job that I have and why I chose the path I chose. But so that means that 5 days a week, during my work week, I have the kids every single day. I'm getting them ready for school. I'm dropping them off at camp, and that's an hour. I'm picking them up from camp, and that's an hour. So I have about a 5-hour window to work every day. And then they're home from school. And when they're home from camp, they want to go to the pool, and they want to go to the park, and they want to go to the zoo. And I want to be able to be summer mom, right? So where expectations come into play is me being able to say to myself, okay, Alexis, it's summer. This is crazy. We're only going to be able to accomplish so much. And so when I have a client who's upset about my responsiveness, I can say, hey, I hear you. I hear you and I understand. If I were in your position, I would feel the same way. And I'm a human being and a mom and I have children and it's summer and this is just life. And so I can say I'm not going to carry their emotions. This is going to get a little too therapy, but I'm not going to carry their emotions for them. I am going to release myself from the expectations that are unreasonable and just say, I got done today what I could get done. When we're looking at like practicality of like how do we manage that is like my to-do list, right? You have your index card that you do, and I will go through and I will make my list, which is always unreasonable. I know your lists are unreasonable.
Oh, she's seen them. Good.
Yeah.
I know. I just know they're unreasonable. So I'll make my list, and then I will go through and I will highlight what actually has to get done today.
Right.
Is there a certain client that I have to answer their emails? And email response will go on the to-do list. And I prioritize my to-do list by client and by like wedding date, because that's just what works for my brain. But there may be a client that it's like, I need to respond to their emails, but they just got answers from me yesterday. They'll be all right. If I don't answer them till tomorrow, it'll be okay. There are certain things that's like, oh, I have a meeting coming up next week or, tomorrow for this final walkthrough, and I need to send the floor plan. That has to get done today.
Right. Absolutely.
This client that hasn't heard from me in 2 days, I haven't responded to their email in 2 days, they have to hear from me today. This wedding that is happening this weekend, all the vendors need their final docs. That has to get done today. The wedding party needs their timeline. That has to get done today. But then there are certain things that it's like, does this client for September of next year need to have their hair and makeup contract today? Probably not. Would it be nice if I could get it done? For sure. But if I don't, I don't. And so then I can really, like, when I'm closing out at the end of the day, I'm like, okay, did I get everything that was highlighted done?
Okay.
Yeah.
Or do I need to work a little bit tonight after the kids go to bed?
And I think that's your biggest issue, is that everything is urgent. Everything is number one.
That's
everything
true.
is top priority.
True.
But nothing, like, not everything is urgent.
Yeah. There are some things that
Yes.
are, like the communication you had to have a conversation with the attorney about a contract and whatever. That was very urgent. Obviously, you get on that. But like just a random email about, like how much do you charge for a baptism? Like, you don't have to jump on that because you don't do baptisms anymore.
That's absolutely true. Yeah, the wedding side is taking a giant back seat, and I'm understanding that. I'm not rushing to get back to them because the priority isn't there. So I think I need to. This has become like a psychology session on me, and I appreciate that. Not at all. So thank you.